Are you sick of watching the small time frames and getting caught up in the crazy little moves? Do you want to zoom out and see the big picture? Every single Friday, I do a macro top-down analysis for Bitcoin, the total market cap of all of crypto, the total market cap of all the crypto that are altcoins. We also go over Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, the dollar index, which is the USD index, so you can see what's happening to the dollar. We go over gold, the NASDAQ, and the S&P to give you a big picture of the macro analysis of what's happening in the world. Jump on in with me right now. Let's break it down. Let's have some fun. I know you can't wait. The first chart I'm going to start off with is Bitcoin. That's right, BTC. We're going to sit here on the weekly chart for Bitcoin and look at the macro for Bitcoin. I remove the moving averages for now, but I do use them, and I don't need to see any other indicators. I just want to look at price action. Right off the bat, you can see that we do have this upper band trend line on the weekly that is holding. And as long as that band holds, you know, we could be making ourselves somewhat of an ascending triangle here that could make a nice move to the upside. Bitcoin could be bouncing. There's hidden bullish divergence, which I'll discuss in a second. But this is one thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for Bitcoin not to lose this trend line. If Bitcoin loses this trend line, it's a bump and run. It will likely come down and test this key level of liquidity. As long as it stays above this, we could hang out, maybe even wick, but we'll bounce back up, maybe make some type of inverted head and shoulder, and then we can break out. That inverted head and shoulder would have about a measured move of the neckline to the head, and then we would swing it. That takes you to about $137,000 Bitcoin somewhere by October. So it's still, you know, there's still a chance we're bullish, and Bitcoin low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Bitcoin is still in a macro uptrend. In case anyone's trying to tell you that we're in a bear market, we're still in a macro uptrend. And if we put on the indicators for a split second here, you will see that the RSI is swinging to the downside while price action is swinging to the upside. That is hidden bullish divergence. Tells you that the trend will continue to the upside. You should beat this high before you break that low. Again, we're stutter stepping here, but we still have a couple days before the weekly candle close. There's a chance it still does close green. We will see. We'll go from there. But right now, the weekly is still in an uptrend for Bitcoin unless we were to break this trend. And honestly, the uptrend to me is still intact unless we take out this low at 54,008. If the weekly would come and close a candle below these two candles right here, that would be the end of the uptrend because we would have broken the trend. We would have basically created a low lower than that previous low. And that tells me that we would then make a lower high and then continue further to the downside. So the weekly still looks good to me. I'm still bullish on the weekly. However, it's the daily time frame that has me stressed. Let's take a look at the daily right now, or for the bulls. I mean, there's money to be made either way, but let's just take a look. Notoriously speaking, you know, and historically speaking, whenever you get above the 200 MA, we get a huge pump to the upside, huge pump to the upside, huge pump. We had a little fickle move there, but mainly, you know, of the last 1, 2, 3, 5 times, 3 times, it was a huge move to the upside. So Bitcoin toyed with this idea. It broke above the 200 MA there, made people think we were going to go on a massive run. No, came down and liquidated. Going on a massive run. No, came down and liquidated. But now it's precariously sitting right here, and it still is holding a higher low. You can see right here, there's support at 82,600 for Bitcoin. And, you know, you got to look at this like a bear flag. There is a leg there. That's a measured move down. And then we're looking at the falling broadening wedge for BTC, which in my humble opinion broke out, and it's retesting the top trend line right now on the daily. If it can bounce and not fall back inside this pattern, we have ourselves a bullish retest technically of this top trend line. But there is a chance that we break back inside this area. Like if we break back inside this trend line, we test 82.6. I mean, I don't see how Bitcoin couldn't fall to 78,000. So I'm not being able to make a prediction on these weekly time frames because so much is going to change. But I want you to see key levels that are going to matter throughout the week. What you want to see is you'd like to see the daily get back above 87.8. If that happens, there's a good chance you're going to continue up to 96,000. If you can't get back above the 200 MA in the next 2 days and you continue another red candle tomorrow, it's likely you're going to drop somewhere down to $78,500 for BTC. So in the next 2 or 3 days, we got to see Bitcoin recover the 200 MA. We have to see Bitcoin get back above 88,000 and retest it. That would give us this gap up move through the VRVP back to 96,800. However, there's a good chance we go back inside of this trend line and fall all the way back down to 78 and even possibly lower to 73,500. So the levels you're going to watch, you do not want to see a weekly candle close below 83,000. You'd much rather see us close a daily candle back above 88,000 to remain bullish for BTC. So right now, Bitcoin is more bearish than bullish. It's below the daily 200 MA. It has to get back above that daily 200 MA. It also lost its 4-hour 200 MA, which is a bearish sign. And this was a bit of a bull flag that could have broken to the upside pretty nicely had Bitcoin not lost that bottom trend line. So we were on a bullish trend there, and this could have wonderfully broken out. Now we have to look for this to make some type of shoulder, head, right shoulder, and break out of an inverted head and shoulder, get back inside this trend line. It could barely retest and drop to the downside. The most likely scenario is we're going to barely retest and continue lower for BTC. The bulls now have to show us something different. The bears are in control. The bulls have to show us a break back above $88,000 to remain bullish. And that's Bitcoin in a macro nutshell from the weekly to the daily time frame. We'll take a look at the total market cap in all of cryptocurrency. All right. And we're going to do basically a very similar idea here on the weekly. We'll delete all our prior work and take a look at what we're looking at. You can see the good thing is that we came right back to previous support. Resistance, support. Resistance, resistance. And so we've had support there before. We came right back to it. We bounced. Weekly support is very strong. Very rarely does it break. However, it may. But right now we had a beautiful bounce. Right now we're just kind of toying. We could really just be toying with the bears to create enough liquidity to get us further to the upside. We kind of got to make them think we're going to dump. So enough bears will short to get us some short liquidity. You can see that fast move down. So sorry, my finger moved there. You can see that fast. All right. You can see that fast move down right there on the weekly. We could easily come right back up through the wick and come back to $3.26 trillion. So the total market cap of all of the cryptocurrencies is still in a bullish uptrend. Low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. And again, if that were to break out the measured move, this thing would pump and we would have another huge leg to the upside that would be starting in the next few weeks. April is also a notoriously bullish month for crypto and Bitcoin. And we are entering April, which, tends to be a bullish month. Let's hope we can get the April pump that we usually get. $4.53 trillion would be the target, and that would be basically, a whole $1.75 trillion coming into the market. That would be huge. That would be a massive, massive leg to the upside. So a lot of money could be moving. We could make a move from 2.6 trillion all the way to 4.5. And that next leg up, that would be insane. The stochastics are also low, and we have hidden bullish divergence too as well. If you pull a fib from this wick right there, you can see that we wick to the golden pocket and the 786 retracement, which is very, very bullish for the total market cap. So I know today is bearish. I know it looks down, but on the macro, once we close a weekly candle below this support, fine. We close a weekly candle down here, that's bearish. Then we're probably going to test these lows, and then the uptrend could be in jeopardy. But right now, the uptrend is still intact. Let's look at total 3, the market cap of all of the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this is doing the same thing. It's got hidden bullish divergence. It's what I call an ascending cup and handle. Previous resistance is support, bouncing off 787. We do not want to close a candle below that. We will go lower to 648, and then the trend could start to be in jeopardy. It's almost important for this trend that we do get a bounce in the next few days. 84,000 holds for Bitcoin, and there's still a big chance that could happen for BTC. So I still see a macro uptrend for total. I can't break that because it is what it is. I want to flip bearish on you. The smaller time frames are flipping bearish, the daily, but they have a chance to get back above their daily 200 MAs and continue this process. As long as we're above the 200 MA on the weekly, as long as we're making higher lows, oversold in the stochastics with the higher low and hidden bullish divergence, it tells us that we could definitely get a continuation in this uptrend on the altcoins. So you could see it feels like the altcoins are in a downtrend, but if you think about it, since their very beginnings here in October of 2023, they are still in a beautiful uptrend. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Is money flowing out of Bitcoin or into Bitcoin? Usually when altcoins are struggling, money's going to flow into Bitcoin. Even when Bitcoin's tanking or if the whole market goes down, more people will flow money into Bitcoin. But Bitcoin dominance still suggests that a big move is coming for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about to erupt and go on a massive tear, and people are going to run into BTC. So Bitcoin dominance showing signs of a move for Bitcoin. It still shows signs. Now, it also could be a dump because people will run into Bitcoin if the whole market dumps. But today we had a pretty good pump, and we're pumping back to 84,000. showing signs of strength. We'll take a look at tether dominance. If tether dominance is going to give way on the weekly, then this looks like it's going to pump. If tether dominance looks like it's going to pump on the weekly, then these would pump together, meaning the market's going to dump. So you juxtapose Bitcoin dominance and tether dominance. Let me slow down one more time. Bitcoin dominance pumps for two reasons. One, when the market dumps, all right, and people want to get out of altcoins, they run into Bitcoin because Bitcoin only loses 5 to 6% when altcoins lose 50 to 60. So Bitcoin dominance goes up when the market tanks. It also goes up when Bitcoin goes up because people sell altcoins to get into Bitcoin because Bitcoin goes up. How can you tell then if this look like it's going to go up? It could be bearish or bullish. How do you know the difference? You juxtapose it with tether dominance. See, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, but tether dominance is going down, it means people are selling tether for sure and getting into Bitcoin. But if tether dominance is going up and Bitcoin's going up, it means people are selling altcoins for tether and Bitcoin. You see? And so now we're going to take a look at tether dominance. This is going to be the key to what's likely going to happen in the next few weeks. And you can see tether dominance is attempting to move up, but on the weekly, it's overbought and below the 200 MA, saying it's going to roll over, make a head and dump. This tells me that we're likely not going to get a massive dump in Bitcoin. Like, this says there's going to be a reversal pattern here, some type of bounce, and tether is going to tank, just like it did here from the top of the range. And that would help altcoins in Bitcoin pump. So when I look at Bitcoin dominance and tether dominance, it's telling us that next week into the first week of April, we should be getting a recovery and a pump to the upside. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance. I'm just going by probabilities. This is a probability that I've played before and it has played out. Maybe we get above here and we continue to pump and I'm completely wrong. I don't know for sure, but I'm showing you probabilities that are likely to play out. And they're showing signs that we could be getting a pump in the altcoin market and Bitcoin market basically in the first 2 weeks of April because of how I'm looking at tether dominance. You can see, and I have some scribble there, but you can see it's rejected below the 200 MA. We want to see this thing continue further to the downside. When I look at the daily, we had this shoulder, kind of head right shoulder. Only one real thing is, look, the daily looks like it could be in a bit of a flag there, but that could just be today. We want to see this wick back down and then collapse to the downside. If this decides to pump hard, it means we're going to be in for more dumpage. So I'd watch this for the next few days too. I'd like to see this double top and get rejected, like shoulder head, kind of right shoulder, double top. We do not want to see it break that previous high at 5.77%. Now we're going to jump into the DXY to show you what's happening to the dollar. So the dollar, we need the dollar to lose value, right? If the dollar loses value, stocks go up, real estate goes up, Bitcoin goes up, right? Anything that has a scarce supply, a fixed scarce supply that stays exactly the same as long as it, will go up. Now Bitcoin has less, basically its supply shrinks every few years and people keep losing it too. So on top of that, it has an edge to how much money they print because not only does it lose basically its own supply, but it also goes up in value when the dollar increases its supply. Here's a rejection again by the DXY of the 200 MA. When you lose the 200 MA on the daily, that's a bearish sign. This looks like you're going to get a nasty drop in the dollar in the DXY, which will send goods and services up. I think it would cause a little more inflation, and it would also cause Bitcoin to go up in value. So this would put pressure on the Fed to cut the rates, which would also put more value into risk on assets. People would borrow money cheaper, and then they'd throw that money into risk on assets. So this looks to me like we're going to continue to fall to the downside unless the daily somehow gets above this 200 MA out of nowhere. I see more downside coming for the DXY. With that being said, gold should be on the move for another pump, and it is. Remember last week we went over gold. I told you gold within this flag. I said look for gold to pump when I'm back next week, and there you have it. Gold is on the way. I see gold headed to $3,231 an ounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even by next week, there's a chance we hit that target or we come up, go sideways, but we're on our way. I called this long from here. I called this flag from here. If you've been watching my macro analysis, the one thing I've gotten perfectly right the entire time is gold. I have never been wrong about gold. Ever since I even started showing the cup and handle years ago, this giant cup and handle right here, this cup that was forming from 2012 all the way to 2020, an 8-year cup. There was the handle, and then gold just started to skyrocket to the upside. I see gold continuing to rip. I see no reason why it will pull back. You see the DXY losing value. That's gold going up as well. Gold headed to $3,200 an ounce, and it's at an all-time high today as we speak. Gold. And I started trading gold before I traded Bitcoin. I was a gold and silver trader on the Toronto Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. I traded JNUG, JDST, the Direxion Global Daily ETFs, the bull and the bear. And so I got my career in starting trading gold and silver. I'll always have a great feeling when I look at the price of gold and I look at the gold chart. It was like my first love, my first friend. I would look at the price of gold every night and every morning. Before I even learned about Bitcoin, I was trading gold for years on end, so, and then I replaced my obsession with gold with Bitcoin. So it's like my old friend, I love to see, and I still hold ounces of gold. I really do. I really, really do. So gold, baby, gold. Now let's take a look at the S&P futures. That should be getting a bounce now that the DXY is dropping, but today out of nowhere, it got a nasty dump. So crazy. We got a dump in the S&P, a dump in the NASDAQ, a dump in Bitcoin. And, we did have some data today that said the economy was a little stronger than it should, which I guess, would put less pressure on rate cuts, which, hurt risk on assets. What I'm seeing here is a bear flag below the daily 200 MA with high stochastics. Somehow, some way, we're going to have these stochastics curve and bound without losing that bottom. This looks like we're going lower. I have to be honest. The S&P looks bearish. I know I was calling a reversal, and I was adamant about it. And I was like, this is going to reverse. And it looks like it did. And there's a chance we still make a higher low here and we bounce and we get back to the upside. There is a chance. But I got to read the charts for what they are. Last week, things were going great. We were going to crack the 200 MA on the daily and likely continue to the upside. Today, things have changed. The last 2 days, we've gotten rejected from the 200. And that once you saw the rejection of the 200, you have to put your eyebrows up and say, oh, no. This is like trading chess. We don't know what the chess player is going to do. We have to change what we do when the chess player changes his move. At one point, it may look like we're going to be able to checkmate them, but they might make a move that then stops that from happening. Now we have to move in a different way. This is telling me that we're either going to double bottom here or head lower. Right now, I have to assume we're going lower because you're below the daily 200 MA. Unless in the next 2 days, just like Bitcoin, you can get back above that 200 MA. It looks like we're headed lower. This doesn't make some sense with the DXY because the DXY looks like it's going to drop too. Is the DXY going to dump with risk on assets? Another strange thing is, too, we have the 3-day chart, which is swinging up from this low to that low, and swinging down, which is hidden bullish divergence. And it tells us that we should break this high before we break this low. However, this candle today is pretty bearish and showing signs of a bearish engulfing candle on the 3-day chart. That's bearish. If that closes bearish engulfing, that will not be a good sign. Right now, the dollar looks, right now, the way the dollar, sorry. So right now, the daily looks bearish. Your last bet is a double bottom at 5,500. I will be going over this every few days. So if we double bottom, I'll update my group. But it looks like we're headed somewhere to 51.96 and making a lower low there. And the hidden bullish will not hold, which is very odd. That will be an anomaly. Hidden bullish divergence is very strong and plays out more than it doesn't. So if this ends up breaking this low, it'll be a strange anomaly for me. It'll be something I haven't seen. That happens less probable than a bounce. So there's still a chance we could get a bounce. There's still some chance that this could wick into some type of like cup and handle, and we may break out to the upside. Maybe bullish tariff news. Something could change the way. You don't know. But right now, it's looking like the S&P is going to go further down somewhere to at least test the double bottom and then possibly to 51.87. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ as well, the E-mini futures. They're doing exactly the same thing. We had this beautiful V-shaped recovery. We had bounced, rejection from the daily 200 MA, and then that was it. Now, Bitcoin had broke its daily 200 MA and got back above it for a little bit, so it had more bullishness. Again, when you look at it, you could say it's a rising wedge. The rising wedge broke to the downside, and then we came and retested this previous support zone and couldn't get back above it. I was looking for this to make that shoulder, this head, this right shoulder, and break to the upside. It was looking quite bullish for the NASDAQ, but now you have to say the last 2 days we could not get above the daily 200 MA, and I'm all about rejection of the daily 200 MA. I like to sell rejections there whenever I'm in longs. Now, it's still a chance we could double bottom, like I said before, but when you look at the bear flag, it has a very long leg, and that looks like we may go lower, down to 17,707. So either they're trying to scare the entire market right now to flush everybody to sell before they get a bounce because there's just not enough people selling and they got to get people to sell. Too many people are too euphoric and they can't get the liquidations they need, so they got to get it really scary. But, if we look at it right now, this says we're going somewhere down to 17,666. So, again, just like the S&P, we're going to have to double bottom. If we can't double bottom, we're going to 17,666. Yay. That is your macro analysis for multiple assets around the world for Bitcoin, the total market cap of crypto, the total market cap of all the altcoins, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, the DXY, gold, S&P futures, and the NASDAQ. I hope you had a good time hanging out with me watching this macro analysis. Hope it made some sense to you. Hope you could use it to your advantage, and it gave you a bit of some insight in case something came your way, some key levels to watch throughout the week. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. My name is Samuel James Price. I'm the Crypto Lifer, and I appreciate you coming. If you came to the channel, then you already did the right thing. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. You can find out when I post my next video. And remember, crypto is life.